Reading during Nano is so hard. I wanted to like this book. I think I might actually get a book read. I'm so excited. Welcome to Buzzwordathon round 5, I think. This is the first time I'm ever participating. Buzzwordathon is a readathon hosted by Books and Lala, and each time she has someone else that is helping her kind of run the thing. And for this round, that person is Gabby Reads. And their prompt, I guess, is one that I'm super interested in. And it is just numbers. Within the title of the books that you're gonna read for this week during your readathon, there must be a number. And it's a little bit fun where you can play around with the idea of numbers. Is it 6? Is it the word number itself? Is it prime? Is it odd? Like, you know, it's flexible. It's flexible. And that's what I love most about the readathons I've participated in that Books and Lala has hosted before. So my friend Jessica Williamson kind of got on me about the fact that I have so many books. And oftentimes for these readathons, I go to the library to find books. So I've done a good job of not buying as many. My book buying ban is going well. My reading the books that I actually own, not so much. So this time I've decided that I'm going to go through all of my books, figure out which ones have numbers, pull them out a little bit, and then I'm going to decide from there which books I want to try and read for this week. Wow. All right, I actually have way more books than I thought, but as most of you all know, I actually have some books in the closet still. It's fine. I guess the other thing to keep in mind, obviously, is that the books shouldn't be part of a series. Like, you know how on the spines they usually put book 1, 2, 3, etc. Those don't count. Or I'm not counting them. I guess it's flexible, so you could count them, but I'm not gonna count them because then it would just be too hard. I would be pulling too many books. All right, I think we actually need to get a flashlight up in here. I'm just gonna pull them out. Ugh. I'm also gonna pull out One Dark Throne. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of books that I forgot I had, like the Scorpio races that I really want to read, though they don't fit into this readathon, so this is probably a good thing I'm going through this. So at risk of forgetting where all of these books were on my bookshelf, I am going to go ahead and pull them all out and lay them on my bed. Pop, pop. Got him. This is actually a fair number of books. I did pull out 3 Dark Crowns, but I have read 3 Dark Crowns and I've been wanting to read One Dark Throne for a while and just never kind of got around to it, so a possibility. Same thing for 6 of Crows, which I think I've read part of the way through multiple times through no fault of the book. This is a recurring theme, it's fine. The series is called 1-800 Where Are You? Then we have a handful, quite literally, of nonfiction options. I always love me some good nonfiction. We have A History of the World in 6 Classes, which sounds so cool. Literary Life, a second memoir, again, questionable. Nothing But the Truth, and A Few White Lies. And again, Rivertown, 2 Years on the Yangtze. So I already have an idea. I think I do want to read one nonfiction book. Then we have a couple of classics, Fahrenheit 451 and The Three Musketeers. I am still in the middle of another Alexander Dumas book, so I don't think I'm gonna pick that one. While I do want to read Fahrenheit 451, I don't think I want to read it for this. So that's to the side. And then we have some final options. I cannot believe I have so many books that vaguely have numbers in them. Like Double by Jenny Valentine. This was an arc of the 48. 2 time-traveling teen assassins are about to turn Henry VIII's court upside down. This sounds so cool. Okay, The Solitude of Prime Numbers, which I had to select and pull out because numbers and prime is an option. I almost dropped that. 13 Little Blue Envelopes, which is again one that I have randomly started and then stopped, never finished, and again through no fault of the actual book. And then 6 Suspects from the author of Slumdog Millionaire. And I've heard it's very much like an Agatha Christie book. I'm curious about this one. What am I gonna do? I have so many options. The other thing is that I'm doing this during NaNoWriMo. Gosh, November is such a crazy month. Okay, so my nonfiction book is going to be A History of the World in 6 Classes. I think it's gonna go over like different teas and wines and all sorts of stuff, and I just think that is so cool. Y'all know I love drinking things, so. And then I think I'm in the mood for something that's lighter. And because I'm writing a young adult fantasy for NaNoWriMo, I don't think I want to read any young adult fantasy, so I'm actually gonna go with 13 Little Blue Envelopes and try to finally frickin' finish this book. I do love other Maureen Johnson books, so I have high hopes for this. And then finally, I think I am going to give 6 Suspects a go. When I looked up reviews of this book, I heard conflicting things, so we'll see. We'll see what I'm thinking. This might be something that I DNF. Speaking of DNF, though, I'm actually finally just giving up on Ruth Ware's The Death of Mrs. Westaway. You can see I got maybe a little over a third of the way through it. I wanted to like this book. This is one I actually started during another readathon that Books of Lala hosts, Spookathon, and it was not my jam, so I think I'm done. I do have a guess at what happens, so I'm gonna look it up, I think, eventually. It's just not my style, and I know a lot of people love it. I've seen a lot of people in my Instagram comments saying how much they love this book, and I could not get into it. So unlike the other books, which I've not finished, like 13 Little Blue Envelopes, through no fault of the book, this one is through fault of the book, but arguably just through fault of my own personal tastes. So let's go and return this before we start the reading. Yeah. I am, however, gonna try and go to the gym first, and by try I mean at least dressed up for it, so if I bail out now, you know, tried. Since all of my favorite activities are things like reading and writing and making videos, you know, stuff that you sit for, I've been trying to get back in some good habits, so let's do it! Goodbye, the death of Mrs. Westaway. Alright, I am back from working out. I have a video that's processing, I got a salad, and I got one of my books to read. I figure while I'm editing and uploading stuff and eating, it might be easier to do nonfiction because it's less keeping up with the narrative and I can kind of start and stop, so this is what we're gonna do. Okay, because it's NaNoWriMo right now, I'm supposed to be in the middle of a writing sprint, but I just want to say all I've gotten through is the introduction of this, but I'm really excited for this book. Basically, it's beer in Mesopotamia and Egypt, wine in Greece and Rome, spirits in the colonial period, coffee in the Age of Reason, tea in the British Empire, and Coca-Cola in the rise of America. And in this little introduction bit, it starts with saying, thirst is deadlier than hunger. Deprived of food, you might survive for a few weeks, but deprived of liquid refreshment, you would be lucky to last more than a few days. So basically it's setting up its importance, period, and then goes through a little bit of historical context. It might be a little heavy-handed in how it's going to go about doing this, but I'm just really excited. It's right up my alley, so I like it. I'm pumped. All right, so since I'm now past the introduction on this book, and though it's focusing on wine now, it will eventually be wine, which I love. So I think I'm going to pour myself a glass of wine while I read this book. And while I chill with the little puppy dog. Let's get to reading. A Stone Age brew. Okay, I can tell that this book's probably gonna get pretty into it because there is this one line that goes, the cause of this sweetness is now understood. Moistened grain produces diastase. Moistened grain produces diastase enzymes, which convert starch within the grain into maltose sugar or malt. So anyway, since we're talking about beer, obviously we have to backtrack a little bit to talk about grains and why human evolution has moved, how we stored grains, what changes that meant for the way people were living at the time, on and on. So anyways, I think it's actually gonna get pretty into it. This is gonna be fascinating. I'm excited to continue, though it could be argued that this might be a little bit too smart for me. Okay, so I've done a terrible job vlogging. Today is, I don't know if that's gonna be, oh, you can see my reflection. But today is Saturday. It's 8:17 p.m. and I am on page 120 of 13 Little Blue Envelopes. The wonderful thing about YA contemporary is that once I get through the first couple chapters, I realize almost immediately if I'm gonna like it or not. I feel like with fantasy or even mysteries, there's a lot of additional building that needs to happen before you can be for sure about something. But YA contemporary, they're like the main character and like the premise, or I don't. I like this premise. You know what? I might actually finish a book. Especially since I've given myself the rest of this weekend to mostly focus on reading besides tomorrow when I'm gonna do a NaNoWriMo live stream. So now that I've passed the 50K, I'm taking things a little bit easier. Hopefully I can finish this book. Let's see how much more reading I get in tonight. There were a couple of places that I dog-eared because I want to talk about them before I'm done reading, but I want to get the whole story first. Yeah. All right, I'm stopping for the evening at page 159. You ready to come inside? It's like, no. Dude, come on. It's cold. Good morning. It's the final day of the readathon. My dog is still just standing out there. What is he doing? Duke, what the heck, Duke? Come on. Yeah, okay, now we're coming, huh? Yeah. Okay. Good job, buddy. Alright, the puppy's finally sleeping. We got Hallmark on in the background. I've been editing this video for a little bit. I think it's time to make myself my cappuccino. I'm gonna finish editing and then I will get back to reading. I'm actually stopping on page 205, which means I have just over 100 pages left. You know freaking what? It's 8:43. I think I might actually get a book read. I'm so excited. Maybe I could even do 2 if I throw in my nonfiction one. Whoo-hoo. That might be overzealous. I'll get a book read. I'm gonna go for the clear mug this time.
Now, the fourth and final lesson has actually been, I think, the biggest lesson for me.
All right, the video is now sitting at 10 minutes and 27 seconds. I'm gonna need to watch it through one more time just to verify, and then I will export and do all of that stuff. But since it is now 9:10, that means I have like 50 minutes to read and then 30 minutes to get ready, eat some breakfast, and then I will call up Becca and Brooke. We will do our NaNoWriMo live stream from 11 to 1, and then I will get back to reading what I don't finish in these 50 minutes. Okay. He's not gonna be excited that I'm moving. Shut this down, grab my coffee. Let's go get that book. And I am stopping off on page 259.
This time, I'm trying to have a solid first draft so that that's not something that happens yet.
We just got off the live stream. I did sit down and immediately start reading. I'm now on page 271, and now I feel like I'm trying to savor the book, make it last longer because I don't want it to be over, which is dumb. Alas, that is what I shall do because I have to go to the gym. Gotta keep up with this habit. Gotta keep trying to build the habit. I still have on my workout clothes, but the little puppy dog wanted to come chill outside, so you know, you do what you can. Also, I may have teared up a bit, which is why my nose is extra red. So it's now Tuesday, a couple of days after the readathon. So to wrap up, I did like this book. I have the habit of going and reading what Goodreads reviews thinks after I've read a book, or sometimes before in the case of Six Suspects, which I didn't even open. Goodreads, not a huge fan of this book. I mean, it did okay. The reviews are okay. I liked it. It feels very reminiscent to me of a very specific time in YA, which makes so much sense because the book itself was published in 2005. A lot of people complain that you didn't really get to know the main character, or it felt like it was reading kind of like you didn't care after a certain point in her travels, but as someone who just loves the idea of traveling around Europe, I still liked it. I enjoyed it. I actually think it got into some heavier topics with like some amount of brushing past them, but not in a way that dismissed them, like abortion at one point. I saw one review. It does use the R word, which again, I mean, it's one of those things that's always been wrong, but published in 2005. So it's kind of like when I read And Then There Were None, and there's just random words we would not use today. I did go through, and because this is a copy of my book that I own, I love dog-earing certain things to come back to later, like that. I don't dog-ear copies of anything that I borrow. It's debatable on how developed the characters were. I actually liked almost all of them. There was one part that I dog-eared here. I just smacked myself in the face with the book. Keith, who ends up being her like sort of love interest, but again, something that I like about books in this age was that it didn't have to be, it was okay for it to just be something, which is, spoiler, sort of where they end off on, that they just have a something, and that's fine, and it feels more real to me sometimes. But they're following the envelopes, and at one point, who are we visiting again? He asked God, and answered. The door swung open. As I was reading it, it gave me a little bit, I snorted a little. Also on page 12, there's a part talking about her aunt. She answered phones as a temp at Trump headquarters until she happened to take a call from Donald himself. She thought it was one of her actor friends pretending to be Donald Trump, so she immediately launched into a tirade on scumbag capitalists with bad toupees. Anyways, 2005 people. If Maureen then could see it now. I mean, she can because Maureen is still writing books, but my goodness. I also managed to get to page 25 of this book, and all of those pages included the introduction, which is to say that I did not get very far, but I hold that one of the great things about nonfiction books is that you can pick them up and put them back down, and I never feel like I'm missing out on content, even when nonfiction's written really well. Like, one of my favorites is Bill Bryson, and there is some amount of continuity to what he's writing, but you can stop and be fine. Whereas I find that with fiction, it's a little bit harder, though I will say that because this book reads so quickly, it was not a big deal for me when I did put it down and pick it back up. And then finally, the last thing I want to point out is, I dog-eared this, I love how, again, old teen fiction books had all of these like interview with the authors, and now that we have the internet, I don't think this matters as much. Extras, extras, and there's even a bit where she's writing from the love interest's point of view at the end, in the words of Keith Dobson. So I just think it's fun. You know, I miss that sometimes in books. I know romance used to do it a lot too. Also, I'm infinitely jealous because when she was writing this book, she was actually on residency in Edinburgh, Scotland, in a castle with other writers. Also, I hope all of you have seen me do that. I tried writing like J.K. Rowling, can appreciate that I now know how to pronounce Edinburgh. Or at least it's not as bad as Edinburgh, and I apologize. So in total, I actually read 350 pages, which I am shocked by, but again, I think part of that was because I'd actually won NaNoWriMo, and so I was able to kind of like drop down my expectations on the writing front. Just writing during Nano is so hard. Honestly, writing during Nano is so hard. But that is gonna be it for me. Please do comment down below. Let me know if you have managed to read anything during NaNoWriMo. Let me know if you participated in Buzzwordathon and how you did on that. Let me know if you have any favorite readathons to join in on from BookTube or just around the internet. I'm trying to do more. I really want to do more in 2020. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all tomorrow with another video. Bye. Oh, you okay, buddy? He's okay. Terrible dog. I don't know why it's having so much trouble focusing on my face. So we have the history